New year. It's been a happy one for the Washington Huskies, and not so for Iowa. 13-0 Washington, and a surprising score.
Yes, surprising in a way, except that you have to realize that Don James knew going into this game that he was going to have to throw the football to get after that Iowa defense. And Steve Pelluer surprised everyone with his ability to do that. And then they were able to open up that defense a little bit and then crack them with Jacque Robinson. So it's been a Washington first half, but you got to remember they outplayed Michigan the first half last year. Michigan came back and dominated the second half to win the game.
And against a very tough defense against the run Iowa, the freshman Robinson gained 60 yards in that first 30 minutes. So at the intermission here at the Rose Bowl, it's 13-0 Washington. Now let's go to the Fiesta Bowl highlights in New York and Byron Day. On awakening this morning at 7 o'clock, you could barely see across the stadium. Now you can see forever. 65 degrees of beautiful January 1 in Pasadena. I can't believe the Chamber of Commerce. They must have some special connection.
They got a pipeline, Dick. I led there last night listening to the rain, and I said, boy, we got a problem. No problems today except for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're down 13-zip. They got to get back in this game.
They take the field and will get the ball first. They'll receive the kickoff to open the second half. You see Washington dominating the statistics of the first half.
And I really believe that those passing yards opened the way for those rushing yards for the Huskies. Perhaps the biggest decision of that first half, Don James's choice to go for it on fourth down. Instead of taking the gimme field goal, he went right after it, picked up the 7 points in a situation that backfired on him last year. As I said earlier, I give him credit for making that decision. He had to be standing down there and say, not again, because he was heavily criticized by a lot of people for going for it, missing it last year in that same kind of situation.
And in turn, that gave Washington its first touchdown. It was Hayden Fry's gamble at the Washington 40 trying to go for the first down late in the first half. That backfired on him because Don James had time for his team to drive downfield and get a second score.
But let's remember, both these teams have been in the locker room. Hayden Fry's team has come out smoking in the second half as well. Their third quarter has been a very good one, outscoring their opponents 56-10. They go in to make a lot of changes, and I'm sure he's had his troops in there saying, let's get out there and go to work. He's also probably made a lot of changes in what they're going to do. But I would also remind you, Dick, that the Huskies are their best quarter historically during this season was the third quarter, outscoring their opponents 86-23. So if history teaches us anything, this should be a pretty eventful quarter offensively.
Yeah, the Iowa fans are ready. They certainly have not been short on their support of this Iowa team. There's that statistic, 29 yards plus per kickoff return, and they'll get the ball first. Glenn Buggs, number 20. Norm Granger, number 26, will return, if possible, the kick of Nelson. Buggs on the near side. Crowd has lost none of its enthusiasm. Good long kick by Nelson. Granger, no chance to return. Offensively for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Quarterback is Gordy Bohannon, a senior from nearby Eagle Rock, California. Phil Blacher, their leading rusher. Tough blocker Norm Granger at fullback. Jeff Brown, the leading receiver. Ivory Webb, the wingback, and John Alt. That's his height. They reverse it almost, 6'7". Mahan, Levelis, Bailey, Hallstrom, Hostler, the offensive line.
We have two tight ends in the game right now, Dick.
Hufford, number 86, joining John Alt.
Both standing up like bookends to that offensive line.
Blacher for 16 yards. Make that Norm Granger, number 26, as they fake the toss to Blacher, and then Granger with a false step.
Little misdirection play. Starting off to his right, cutting back inside, getting good blocking, and exploding into the secondary. One of the bigger gains for this Hawkeye offense all day.
And what does that do, Merlin, to a team? Now, coach has gone in and he's pulled that play out, and when it works, has to give the whole team a lift.
It helps. Fast start. They're getting it here.
And another good gain on first down as Granger plowing out to about the 42-yard line. Defensively for the Huskies, they shut out this Iowa team the first half. Stewart, Jenkins playing another great game here in the Rose Bowl. Garnett, Kadich, and Caldwell. Ken Driscoll, leading tackler. Mark Jerue, leading tackler in the game. Driscoll for the season. Horton had 2 fine punt returns, and Stapleton at the corner. O'Connor and Leapart at safety. Second down and 4. Granger again, and he's got a first down at the 48-yard line. Chris O'Connor and Ken Driscoll teaming up on the tackle. It's been a while, Merlin, since we've seen this kind of support for one team. The Iowa fans really came with plenty of enthusiasm.
I'll tell you, it's delightful to be a part of this college football scene and to feel the excitement of these people here. They've come a long ways to support their team. They're proud to see them moving the ball down the field.
From the 48-yard line, this is Blacher to the Washington 49, and Mark Jerue just would not let him get away. A gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 at the Husky 49.
I have to tell you, too, Dick, as a player, that you feel the crowd. You know they're there. And when they're really for you and they're cheering and they're loud and they want you to go, it helps. The adrenaline pumps a little bit extra. You give it a little bit more on the field.
And look at Steve Pelluer. He's saying, hey, stop that offense. I don't want to cool off. I'm ready to play myself.
He's had a hot first half. I would like to cool him off a little bit. I'll tell you that.
They played 3 minutes. Iowa's had the ball since the kickoff to start the half. Again, a little misdirection, but Granger is toppled. Fine defensive play by Garnett and Driscoll. Scott Garnett, number 92, went to high school here in Pasadena, California. Muir High School. Broken foot earlier this year. Has returned to the lineup. And of course, it has to be a thrill for him to be in his hometown playing in the Rose Bowl. Let's pause briefly. Station identification. This is the NBC television network. Hayden Fry of the Iowa Hawkeyes, his team 3rd and 7 at the 49, will operate out of the shotgun. Bohannon in trouble. It's complete, but short of the first down at the 45. The tight end John Alt from Columbia Heights, Minnesota. He caught only 1 pass all year, that for 13 yards. That'll be shy of a first down by 3.
I think a few years from now, Alt will be a little bit wiser about where those yardsticks were. He certainly needed to get down there for the first down. Hayden Fry extremely disappointed that he did not pick up the first down.
With the ball in Washington territory, Tom Nickel, the field goal kicker and the short punter in terms of range and in height, will kick it to Horton, who's at the 10. 31 yards on his first kick. Oh, he just was tall enough to get that one. And he's forced to try and they have the first down.
Well, they're going to have a penalty, though. They had linemen downfield, Dick.
And that's going to be a tough one to swallow for the Iowa fans who thought they'd pulled it off.
However, it was a very bright play. If he'd been tackled back there, would have given Washington good field position. Have to see if they're going to take the down away from them here. If they do, the ball will turn over right where it is.
Hayden Fry trying to get the attention of one of the men in those black and white stripes.
Brad Webb, the man who went in and put the pressure on Tom Nickel on that last play.
And they'll sort that out. Gives us a chance to talk a bit about Don James. You just saw him as they mark off the penalty against the Hawkeyes, and let's see what loss it down if that means Washington gets it at the 40-yard line.
The eligible receiver downfield, offense, 4th down.
It's 4th down, so they'll kick it away.
There is no loss of down.
That was actually Brad Webb that took the reception on that pass. Hayden Fry extremely upset. Not Nickel's fault, however. That center just up over his head. Now they put the shotgun kicker in there. Watch the play right there. You see the pass. Webb doing a good job fighting for that first down, but they're going to have to kick it away again.
Reggie Roby, his 2 kicks in the first half for 56 and 47 yards. And he lines this one. Returnable to Horton at the 10. He had 2 outstanding returns in the first half. He's at the 17-yard line, and a flag goes down. The Iowa fans were booing. They thought there was a clip earlier, and then later as the tackle was made, the flag was dropped on the far side.
Kevin Spitzig, the man down the field, on the field.
And Mark Stewart, very valuable player for Washington, injured on that return. You see the young lady there. There are a couple of student trainers, female trainers, on this Washington sidelines.
We've seen Reggie Roby outkick his coverage all day long. We talked about the dangers in that early on, Dick, and they certainly have been hurt by the returns of Horton. But they hurt themselves on that play with a couple of clips, and I felt like the Iowa fans that there was a clip early on that was not called. Chance for you to see it at home. Watch the coverage now. On the right edge of your screen, you're going to see a clip right there. 39 coming in on the back right there. That's Erb. James Erb, number 32, fine linebacker down the field.
And it was Jim Rogers, 39, who made the clip, and he was the man who was injured. So from deep in their own end of the field, from around the 6-yard line, is Jacque Robinson out to about the 7, maybe the 8. His 60 yards in the first half, certainly a standout statistic against a defense, Iowa, that allowed just under 87 yards to a team per game all year.
Iowa's been a big play defense. They'll take the ball away from you. They're very proud of that. They'd certainly like to do it to Washington right here.
13-0 Huskies, 11 minutes left, third quarter. Ooh, boy, there's some solid hitting. Ron Jackson back in the lineup, and he is hit by Bobby Stoops, 41 initially, and there was plenty of black shirted help.
Cookie Jackson trying to slip his way up through the center. Not much room at all. Wonder how many pounds of Hawkeyes he had on him on that play, Dick.
Well, you could really feel from that shot the punishment the ball carrier takes. It's a beautiful shot, as if that rose painted at midfield is almost sprouting from the lawns here in the Arroyo Seco. 3rd and 8. Pelluer from his goal line, going long for Skansi. And too long, all the way to the 45 of Iowa. Pelluer showing the strength of his arm.
A little too much strength. He's overthrown 2 open receivers today, neither of which could have returned a possible touchdown, but the Iowa defense has done exactly what they had hoped to do. They've pinned Washington down. Let's see if they may not gamble and go after it and try and block the kick.
And Partridge, the punter for Washington, has averaged only 26 yards a kick on 3 tries in the first half. He'll kick this one from his own end zone.
They're
Brown is deep. Ooh. End over end and fairly short. Brown at the 46. And returns it a couple of yards to the 43. So Iowa in great field position. 10 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Hawkeyes trying to muster a threat, down 13-0.
Meet the world's toughest traveler, the Best Western inspector. He checks out every Best Western before you check in. With a tough 1,000-point inspection that leaves no bed unturned. Maybe we're tougher on ourselves than you'll ever be, but Best Western has more good places to stay than anyone, and we intend to keep it that way.
You'll rest assured at Best Western.
Looking for the right fields to invest in. The right investments in those fields can be frustrating. That's why Merrill Lynch does the groundwork with research. To seek out the best investments, Merrill Lynch brought together the best researchers. And it is turning up the unseen or overlooked that makes us what we are. Merrill Lynch, a breed apart.
The greatest gymnast in United States history, 3-time world champion, the first American ever to win a gold medal at the World Championships. Kurt Thomas returns to competition Sunday, January 17th on NBC Sports World.
High over Pasadena, our Goodyear blimp Columbia back again with us this year with Tom Mattis at the helm. NBC's own George Simpson is on camera, and Bill Betzner is at the video controls. Some marvelous shots on a postcard day in Pasadena. Don James Huskies lead 13-0. Iowa with 10 minutes left, third quarter, has the ball at the Washington 43. Nothing there. Jenkins and Barnett shoulder to shoulder to deny Norm Granger.
If you're wondering why Fletcher Jenkins is an All-American, watch him here. Takes on Paul Posler, stands him up, takes the ball carrier in hand and proceeds to move him about 10 yards back toward the opposing goal line. Wonderful play. Folks up in the Emerald City of Seattle obviously have to be pleased with that play by Fletcher Jenkins.
Nature and music. He's an outstanding drummer. Pounded a few beats on that ball carrier.
Put a few thumps on that guy.
On second down, 2 tight ends. Alton and Hufford bookend the line. A little mixed direction to Granger. Good speed. 40, 35. Finally out of bounds at the 30 and a first down. 15 yards for Norm Granger.
We've seen an awful lot of misdirection plays during this half, and one of the reasons for that is a team that reacts very quickly. You try and get them moving and then go back against the grain. You see the block right here from Hufford going down from that stand-up position, driving Tony Caldwell all the way to the inside and cutting off some of the defenders in the pursuit. And Granger doing a good job of outrunning everyone except Leapart, and finally put him out of bounds.
Went to the same high school as Andre Tippett, Behringer High in Newark, New Jersey. First down. Intercepted by Driscoll at the 32-yard line. Ken Driscoll. So the #1 tackler last year and again this year for the University of Washington shows he can go to the ball as well, and has the interception.
Second interception of the day for the Huskies. Second time that Bohannon wishes he had not thrown the football. Throws under pressure here. Fletcher Jenkins again providing the pressure. Just this time that throw. That's hard to throw wide open. Third turnover of the day. There was also a fumble in that first half.
From the 32-yard line, Washington's ball, leading 13-0. And they get very little on first down as Pat Dean wraps his arms around Vince Kobe, the fullback of Washington. There's Driscoll, a happy young man. He'll be back again next year.
Got to wonder about the strength of this team with all those redshirt juniors coming back to be seniors next year, and the quality of this team, the kind of experience they've had the last 2 years. Don James has certainly done a marvelous job of putting that program together at Washington.
Well, you can understand how the Washington fans feel they're going to go for the national championship next year. Pelluer, plenty of time. There's his man Skansi, and a first down at the Iowa 42. Look at that emotion on the sidelines.
Skansi has really showed us why they appreciate his talents during the year. Tracy Crocker in coverage, but he can't keep up with the fleet Skansi. Ball getting up in the air, and again a fine catch. Crocker really the man that came across from the other side. He was covered from the backside by one of the other defenders.
As you saw, Skansi's 4th catch and a first down at the Iowa 42. 13-0 Washington. Little draw play out to the 40-yard line to Ron Jackson, a gain of 2. Jackson, a Seattle native, just a sophomore. So Don James has a good stable of young running backs. Jackson's a sophomore. Sterling Hines, who've not seen him, he's a sophomore. And Robinson, the running star of the first half, is a freshman.
It still amazes me how well this Washington team has been able to throw the football, though. I think they certainly have done some careful preparation. That extra couple of weeks getting ready for this game certainly helped Don James and his staff.
2nd and 8. Again, well protected. Pelluer dumps it off to Jackson for short yardage, just a couple to the 38. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Now James, of course, has touched a lot of people along the way, and just to remind folks of his heritage, and he's had a brother, Tommy James, well known for his defensive play with the Cleveland Browns many years in the late 40s, early 50s. Don was a quarterback at Miami of Florida, graduated in '54, born in Massillon, Ohio. So with those kinds of roots, you might expect he'd make a lifetime of football.
Right out of the hotbed of football in Massillon, Ohio.
On 3rd and 6, Pelluer. Complete to Allen. Tackled at the 31-yard line. That's going to be close to a first down. And for Allen, another reception for him. And he's going after a possible Rose Bowl record.
This Hawkeye defense that had prided itself on the pressure it could put on quarterbacks, not getting that much pressure on Pelluer. Pelluer taking advantage of them there. Lou King, number 43, the man to come up and make the stop. But you'd like to get up there in time to knock the ball away, not tackle a man for the first down.
That's Allen's 5th catch today. He had 6 last year, a total of 11 in the Rose Bowl, 1 off the Rose Bowl record. First down play to Skansi. Oops, that might be it. Nope, they say it was a good hit. The ball had already passed the receiver. Jim Frazier, number 10, made the play, but he flirted with a flag.
Very, very close to a penalty. Watch Skansi now. Frazier going up. I think they probably judged that Frazier was going after the football, because he certainly did collide with Skansi before the ball arrived.
6:36 left in this, the 3rd quarter. Washington 13. Favored Iowa nothing. Willie Roseborough, the tight end, out of bounds at the 25-yard line, shy of the first down. A gain of about 6. Flag is down back where Pelluer threw the ball. Let's see if it's holding. Yes, against Washington.
They had moved inside field goal range for Chuck Nelson. This will take them back outside of that again.
And of course, the field goal is so important for Washington, of course for Iowa as well, because at this point Iowa's within 2 touchdowns of victory. If they can make their extra points, a field goal would put some pressure on.
Certainly would. Hayden Fry obviously exhorting his troops. A lot of personal coaching. We talked about the coaching style.
Illegal use of hands, blocking above the shoulders, offense, first.
We talked about the coaching style of Don James. A much more personal coaching style in his relationship to the players for Hayden Fry. He feels that his strength is communication. He calls all the plays, runs the offensive practice, does turn the defense over to his assistant Bill Brazier.
2nd down and a long way to go for Washington now from the 48 of Iowa. Screen. Run. Mel Cole, 31, with a great read and another loss.
The Hawkeyes have put that Washington offense in reverse here with a little help from the officials. Mel Cole, number 31, all Big Ten linebacker. He'll appear on the bottom of your screen, coming up rapidly, and just puts a smack right there on the ball carrier. Drops him for a big loss. That's 3rd and what, Dick? Can you count that eye?
Wait a minute. I got to take out my counter that I received for Christmas. 3rd down and 36, would guess.
You're glad the coach is signaling the plays here, I'll tell you that.
There's a draw play to Ron Jackson. He gets some of it back to the Iowa 46-yard line, and Cole again makes the tackle. You see Cole in those Pittsburgh Steelers-style uniforms that Hayden Fry selected, and at 31, and the way he hits, it reminds you of Donnie Shell, the Steelers.
That was one of the first things that Hayden Fry did when he came to Iowa. He said, we've got to change our image here. He got a copy of a Pittsburgh Steeler uniform, and he said, we want to look like champions. He's changed the attitude there, not only of the players and the athletic staff and the coaches, but I think of that whole town and that whole state of Iowa as well.
Oh, you bet. They're sold out this year at Kinnick Stadium, and they say they'll be sold out again every game next year. Gonna let that one go, Brown. Could be trouble. No, it trickles into the end zone. Touchback for Iowa. So they'll get, whoops, they're marking it at the 1-yard line, are they?
No, someone just ran over the mascot down in the end zone. One of the Washington players leveled the bird in the end zone.
Put a jerky on Herky down in the end zone. Breaking the action.
There's a time in life for the young to say, I want something else, a different way. The town's the same, the people too. School is over, needs something to do. The services have it, it'll really show. You'll see new places, you'll really grow in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Challenge, adventure, excitement too, a time to enjoy and see something new. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You'll work hard, feel really free, serving your country for all to see in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Be part of a team, be friends forever, a part of the services you won't forget ever. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
Chevy says blow away everything you know about pickups. When you compare standard S10s and Dodge Ram 50s, Dodge blows Chevy away. Ram 50 carries 500 pounds more payload. Its gutsier engine gives you more pulling power. And Ram 50 gives you a choice. Introducing Power Ram 50, Four-Wheeler Magazine's four-wheel drive truck of the year.
Dodge trucks are Ram tough.
Get a truck, get a check. $300 to $1,000 on select new Dodges. See participating dealers for full details.
On an all-new Chips, Ponch takes a spectacular fall.
Maybe I don't want to ride motors anymore.
But conquers his fear only to take what could be the last ride of his life Sunday.
The good news is the mascot's all right. Watch 66, Pat Zaskorn, as the Herky, boop.
Herky walked right into him. I don't think Zaskorn even saw him, leveled him. He is up and walking and warned by the officials to try and stay out of the action. Herky wanted to get his beak right out there and go to work with it, I guess.
Did you see Zaskorn? He pointed at him like he had committed some kind of foul.
Sorry about that.
Jordy Bohannon, the quarterback. Iowa down 13-0. Granger breaks a couple of tackles and picks up 5. Hit made by Vince Newsom, number 23. Don James.
No huddle. They come right back.
And the give goes to Blacher. Ken Driscoll makes the tackle short of the first down. So even with a quick huddle, Washington was ready. These are two well-prepared teams. In talking with the coaches, and I know you concur, Merlin, that you have to be impressed with their intelligence, their leadership. They're really solid gentlemen.
I think one of the advantages that the Huskies have had when a team throws as much offense at you as Iowa does, you need extra time to get ready.
4 minutes and 9 seconds left in the third quarter. Shadows starting to grow here at the Rose Bowl. There's a first down and more. Granger all the way to the 45. 16 more yards for Norm Granger, who has had a big third quarter.
Again, using some misdirection, some false steps, some false keys to try and confuse the linebackers. And getting a nice block in there on Fletcher Jenkins to keep him out of the action. Chance to watch Granger now as he uses some swift moves out there in the open field.
At only 6 yards of that total in the first half. This time it's Blacher, and he's hit in the backfield by Mark Stewart at the 45-yard line. May have fallen forward to the line of scrimmage.
Just as a part of Hayden Fry's philosophy about attacking a good defensive team, he said if you find a team that is quick and reacts, you can't attack their weakness, you attack their strength. You let them react to a play, and then you go the other direction. That's why we're seeing so many misdirection plays during this game.
Look at the size of 76, that giant guard Hallstrom, 6'6". They list him at 286. He just stands out in that huddle. Again, misdirection, and it's Granger again. And he's close to a first down at the Washington 46 before Driscoll can make still another tackle, but it's 9 more yards for the Iowa fullback.
Ron Hallstrom, the guard you just pointed out, pulled the trap, led that play, and just buried Torey Caldwell. Caldwell had to think he was facing one of those freeways or one of the trucks on the freeway. That way.
Granger having a big third quarter. 76, Hallstrom, the right guard. He's from Moline, Illinois. You look at him, he is Moline, Illinois. Blacher. He has the first down at the 43 of Washington. Ray Kadich made the tackle for Washington. Here comes Moritz with the next play. Fry, a former quarterback, as was James in college. Fry quarterbacked the Baylor Bears in '51. What a job he's done. This Iowa team, a losing image, have lost 20 consecutive seasons, the longest losing streak per season in major college football. He went 5-6, 4-7, and in his third year, 8-3, and all the way to the Rose Bowl.
He's taken 3 losing programs, turned them around. I'll tell you, the folks in Iowa, Texas, very pleased to have a coach like Hayden Fry.
SMU and North Texas State, previous stops before Iowa. Bohannon keeping the ball himself, and Lynn Matson, 8'68", made the tackle at the 38. But a good pickup on first down of about 6. Fry is a second cousin of the late president Lyndon Baines Johnson.
That record a little bit deceptive because, as I said, he inherited losing programs, had to get those teams turned around. When you consider that record in that light, it's outstanding.
It is indeed. Again, misdirection, and Granger runs into Kadich, 61, and others. Kadich from Lewis and Clark High School in Spokane. Threw the javelin in high school 200 feet. You can see where he got his strength.
Maybe he went to the well once too often. On the sideline, you could see Hayden Fry listening to one of his coaches with a headset on. He doesn't wear the headset, but he has information coming down. He said, "You tell me where they're lining up, and I'll attack them."
Ball at the 37 of Washington, 3rd and 3. Iowa needs a score as time runs out in the 3rd quarter. It's Washington 13, the Hawkeyes nothing.
Sure.
And they did not get the first down as fullback Granger tried the right side and was smothered. Garnett, 92, the nose guard, led the charge. Driscoll was there to back him up.
Hayden Fry faced with another 4th down call. He go right back at it. He said, "We've got to get this or doesn't count anyway." A little bit early perhaps for that kind of decision, but he did it earlier in the game and it backfired. Let's see what this one happens on. Or what happens on this one.
With 10 seconds left, actually Iowa doesn't need to run the play. They could use the timeout at the quarter to talk it over, but apparently they're going to go ahead. 4th and 1. Blacher.
Short.
Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, he did not make it. He did not make it. Academic All-American and All Pac-10 Mark Jerue made the tackle.
Excellent reaction by the defense. Quick pursuit. No misdirection here. Mark Jerue, 67. Very quickly up underneath. And Hayden Fry said, "Wait a minute. What's happened? That's twice, and we've lost both times."
And the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Are saying Happy New Year, everyone, and hopefully a peaceful one for all of this world. What a beautiful day in Pasadena. 3 quarters complete. Washington 13, Iowa nothing, and the Huskies have just held the Hawkeyes at the Washington 35 on 4th down. We open the 4th quarter. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Steve Pelluer completes it to his halfback. And out of bounds goes Breno DeFeo, who's in for the first time. Number 43, a sophomore from Seattle. It's a first down.
With that completion, Steve has completed 14 of 27 passes for 143 yards on the day. Very impressive stats for that young man.
Pelluer sets his line with a first down at the 46. And DeFeo gets the call to midfield. The attendance has been announced. 105,611. They said there was tremendous demand for tickets with so many folks making the trip from Iowa and their enthusiasm. And boy, they crammed their way in. 105,611 the attendance today.
I'd like to have a few more things to cheer about, Dick.
Down 13-0, and Washington with the ball. Jacque Robinson close to the Iowa 45. He's going to be short of the first down by a couple. It's interesting. We talked about Don James, how you live in this world long enough, how you cross paths. He was an assistant coach under Bump Elliott at the University of Michigan. He was the defensive coordinator in the late 60s. Bump Elliott now is the athletic director at Iowa. Whereas Bump Elliott has really made the full circle, and that's a different story we'll share with you in a moment.
Whoa.
Tippett can't bring him down.
Whoa.
But has help. Pat Dean finally makes the tackle.
Tremendous pressure, first by Tippett, eventually by Dean, to swarm under Pelluer. He was fighting to keep his feet. Watch it yourself. Tippett very quick, just blows right around DeFeo. He's on top of Pelluer before he's even set up. That's Webb, number 94, the second man to get him, but it took Pat Dean to finish him off. Three of them to bring him down.
So Partridge will kick. Brown back at the 20 of Iowa. It's 10 men, no, 8 men on the line of scrimmage. Good kick, his best of the day. Brown all the way to the 8. And returns to the 15-yard line. Tackled by Pat Zascorn. He didn't get the mascot. He got the ball carrier that time. 49-yard kick. 12:53 remaining in the game. From the Rose Bowl. We're in the fourth quarter. 13-0. Washington leading Iowa. Just fun to be back with you. I haven't seen you since you left me alone up there in Cleveland.
Served you right. Go there in the middle of the winter. We're going to go back into the teeth of it. Go back to Cincinnati to watch an outstanding game on Sunday. Cincinnati against the Buffalo Bills. So
I hope the fans will join us there. And of course, tomorrow more action here. You'll see Miami and San Diego. Don Criqui and John Brody. How'd they work that? They don't even leave the booth at the Orange Bowl. And of course, they're standing by Clemson and Nebraska. What a game that should be for the national championship. Bohannon incomplete. Well read by Caldwell, 48. And O'Connor, number 30.
We talked about the job that some of these assistant coaches have done. Let's doff our hats to Jim Lampright, the defensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies. He's had to cope with the innovative genius of Hayden Fry. I'm sure he's been awake all night long wondering just what was going to come at him. But he has prepared his defense well, and they have responded extremely well to a difficult variety of sets and a number of very unusual plays.
Bohannon's had more success running the ball than throwing it today. Going for the bomb. That was number 89, Charlie Jones. He did not play high school football. He did not play college football. He's completed his 4 years as a track scholar at Iowa. And Hayden Fry says, I need some speed. He went after Jones, a 9.5 sprinter. He, in the first game against Indiana, caught his first pass, 51 yards for a touchdown. And they were hoping to slip him into the game unnoticed today and get him deep.
Well, if he'd have been a 9.4 sprinter, he might have caught up with that football, Dick.
Good point. Everything is relative, isn't it? We have a timeout at the Rose Bowl. 12 minutes and 40 seconds remain. Iowa, as that clock ticks away, becoming more and more desperate. That's the big one. Number 1 Clemson against Nebraska. The third crown for us in our triple header on NBC Sports today as we start this new year with a big football bang. So stay with us right after the conclusion of this game. Third down, Bohannon, a fake reverse. Can't find a man open. 20, and he didn't get the first down. Tackled at the 23 by Scott Garnett. Great coverage by the Husky defensive backs as Bohannon just could not find a black shirt in the open.
Bohannon faked the old Statue of Liberty play, stood for a moment, then dropped back, looked to have a couple of receivers open early, and Hayden Fry has elected not to gamble on fourth down deep in his own territory. He'll kick it away here, hope they can get a turnover. They've got quite a bit of time left. They're a quick striking football team, a much better equipped team to come from behind than perhaps the Huskies themselves. So they haven't really gotten themselves out of this game yet. They need 2 big plays to be back on top in this football game.
12 minutes left. We'll see if Roby indeed is going to kick or whether they fake it. 4th and 1. Now Roby with that powerful leg hits another long one to Horton at the 25. And down he goes at the 31. Good coverage by the Hawkeyes. Number 80, Dave Strobel, made the tackle. He's from St. Paul, Minnesota. Oh, Washington with a lead has the ball again. 11:33 left in the game.
I have a headache. And I feel lousy. I would like you to give me an aspirin if possible.
Aspirin?
For the last 10 or 15 years, I've used aspirin.
That's interesting, Mick, because the #1 selling brand of pain reliever doesn't contain aspirin.
What is this product?
It's Tylenol.
I've never used Tylenol.
Today, we'd like you to try extra-strength Tylenol. You know, you can't buy a more potent pain reliever without a prescription.
I have to see what it does for me.
Well, look at the difference in the amount of medicine in the leading pain relievers.
Extra-strength Tylenol has more pain reliever. I have to try it. No pain, no pressure. It's super. It's great. You know, I'm really pleased. I'm ready to take on my work day and do the best job that I possibly can. I'm impressed.
Try extra-strength Tylenol. Capsules and tablets. Aspirin-free. And you can't buy a more potent pain reliever without a prescription.
Extra strength Tylenol is a super product.
Thursday, Belker meets Captain Freedom, and after a brutal mass murder, Furillo declares war on the street gang.
Somebody's gonna pay for what happened last night.
On Hill Street Blues.
Washington's Huskies leading Iowa 13-0. Time running out, fourth quarter, 11.5 minutes left. Washington's ball after the punt, just outside their own 30. Skansi in motion. And a little option toss to Jacque Robinson. Boy, does he have acceleration. What a great first step when he made his cut upfield. Gain of almost 15 yards. Make it 14.
Don James talked about trying to run more option plays. He said, we're not a good option team, but watch the kind of quandary it puts number 99, Mel Tippett, in. To Andre Tippett. Tippett obviously having to play the quarterback. Jacque Robinson taking the quick toss, getting outside, getting downfield before Mel Cole is finally able to get over and put the stop on him.
It was 15 yards, and it's a first down at the 46. Robinson again, a little misdirection. Turnabout's fair play, and he's all the way to the 37-yard line. And Mr. Jacque Robinson, only a freshman from San Jose, California, with that run has gained more yards individually today than the average teams did against Iowa all year.
Robinson showing again the natural instincts of a fine running back to go with those magnificent physical tools. 17 yards. He's 6 for 97 yards total today. Wow.
86.9 was the average allowed an entire team by Iowa through the 11-game schedule.
Let's go, D!
Washington with a 13-0 lead. It's Colby to the 35-yard line, a gain of a couple. Chris James, number 31, now will come in at fullback for Don James. We're talking about Bump Elliott, the athletic director now at Iowa. He first appeared in the Rose Bowl as a player for Michigan in '48, that great Michigan team that won 49-0. Then came back as an assistant coach. That was with Iowa. Came back as a head coach at Michigan. Came back as assistant athletic director at Michigan. And now he's here with Iowa as their athletic director. So talk about the complete play. Bump Elliott of Iowa has been here 5 times in 5 different capacities, but always as a winner. Pelluer, 2nd and 7. Almost intercepted. Intended for Allen on a pass that would have tied a Rose Bowl record had he caught it.
I'm a bit surprised to see Washington still throwing the football. Obviously, offense concerned still about the striking ability of their opponent. They're not willing to just grind it out and try and eat that clock up.
3rd down and 7. Hayden Fry in contact with his assistants upstairs. Jacque Robinson. He's at the 20. Might go all the way. He has a touchdown. The Washington Huskies have found themselves a new star.
Don James said we'll play a number of backs until we find one with a hot hand. He got one with a smoking hand in Jacque Robinson, and the freshman has certainly had his finest hour here in the Rose Bowl this afternoon.
And you see Don James not caught up in the enthusiasm, his head in the game. He realized after missing the extra point, he wants his Washington team to go for 2 apparently, and quickly got one of his backs in there, DeFeo.
And he has a special team. That's why he had to do that. He had to get different personnel onto the field.
Going for the 2. Allen in motion, and they took too much time. So in the confusion, they exceeded the 25 seconds. That'll give us a chance to again appreciate the talents of one Jacque Robinson.
A very quick play. I think the whole team on the Iowa side of the line was thinking pass. Jacque Robinson had one thing in mind, getting downfield. He saw that end zone. He just powered his way in. That young man is impressive, Dick.
Made a lot of nice moves, and he outran. A lot of folks would have gone down with Tippett on your heels, but not Robinson. And Tippett, we'll see it from his perspective.
Delay a game, offense.
that won't change the strategy. Washington will still probably go for the 2.
One of the things that happens to a team when they're down like this, they begin to press a little bit to try and make the big play. And when you're playing catch-up football, you're playing low percentage football. You're taking risks that can backfire on you. That's certainly what happened there to Iowa.
So the 2-point conversion from the 8-yard line. Pelluer, he's got his man, Skansi, 2 points. Andre Tippett beside himself.
4 Iowa Hawkeyes, 2 on each side, and Pelluer threaded the needle to Skansi. Let's go back and take another quick look at that earlier touchdown. You see the change of direction there by Robinson. The click on the heels. He stayed up. Tremendous power in those hips and legs. And now a quick throw from Pelluer as he threads the needle right down the middle.
And with timeout, 9:47 left, Iowa needs a lot of help. The Hawkeyes need something dramatic as they've fallen behind 21-0 to the University of Washington. A rebuilding year, they said at Seattle. You won't be able to convince Hayden Fry of that. Washington making the big victory, keeping alive by defeating USC in the second to the last game, and then needing help. Got it when USC defeated UCLA. The Huskies meanwhile beat Washington State and earned the trip in. And they say that if you think they're good this year, just wait till next year. Granger and Bucks are deep to Granger's side at the 2. And a little hold, but a good tackle made to stop him from going possibly all the way.
Andre Tippett, All-American stand-up defensive end. We'll show you one reason why. Takes on 2 men at the line of scrimmage. The ball carrier goes inside of him, finally locates the ball carrier. Now watch him come from behind. A full run, and he'll catch up right here, dive, and almost get a saving tackle on Jacque Robinson, but not enough to trip him up. Fine pursuit, fine effort, but just a little short.
Robinson on that drive of 69 yards accounted for 66 himself. Injured Husky going off the field. Appeared to be Lynn Madsen. Might have been 58, not 68.
68 still on the field with nose tackle.
David Whiteknight is the injured player. Bohannon caught from behind and fumbles, and the Huskies say they have it again. They do. That's the 4th turnover. Bohannon has fumbled twice, and he's been intercepted twice. And all the cheers are from the Washington side. Lynn Madsen was the man who made the tackle and stripped the ball away from Bohannon. Washington will own it at the 19-yard line. They have a 21-0 lead, and now they're looking for some frosting. The Washington Huskies, a surprising 21-0 leader, and they have the ball in position for more at the 19 of Iowa. New quarterback Tim Cowan. He's a junior from Cerritos, California, and he gives to Jacque Robinson. And the irony of it all, one of the greatest athletes in the history of sport, Jacque Robinson, who grew up in this area, attended UCLA, and not quite a namesake, but close. Jacque carrying that name to a headline story today. He was so good in the other sports, baseball and basketball in high school, he wasn't really taken seriously as a football candidate, was not highly recruited, meandered up to Seattle, and are they happy? This is Chris James, the fullback from Tacoma, 223-pounder. And he's down to about the 12-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and 3. The last shutout, in case you're wondering, in the Rose Bowl was in 1953. We have to go back when USC blanked Wisconsin 7-0. Rudy Bukic that day was the most valuable player, the Trojan quarterback. 30 years almost ago. Robinson. You can hear the pads pop, and Robinson is to the 4-yard line.
Brian Stratus, the man coming up right there to take on the lead blocker, Chris James. But he needed to hit another man. He needed to hit Jacque Robinson, who continues to shred the very powerful, heretofore powerful run defense of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Now, he was around the 6th-string tailback at the start of the year and the star of the Rose Bowl. Robinson again. What did we say at the start of the show? 2 Cinderella stories. And he's got 3 more years after this one. Now it's a season for these 2 conferences, the Pac-10 and Big Ten, Merlin Olsen, where the underdog, the surprise team, the Cinderellas made it. So I guess it only figures that the team that was the underdog today should be the dominant team, and Washington was the slight underdog.
Averaging over 7 yards per carry, 20 rushes, 142 yards on the day.
140 yards by Robinson. Oh, Cowan keeps it himself for a touchdown. And that one has to taste sweet for Tim Cowan, who injured his right thumb in the 2nd game of the year against Kansas State. Lost his job to Steve Pelluer. Gets a chance to score a touchdown in front of his home folks in the bowl today.
Chance to look at it, little fake inside. Cowan just tucks that football away, and he knew where that goal line was.
27-0 Washington. Very impressive today. You know, again, too, Merlin, when it goes 28-0, we're all guilty of trying to judge teams that don't play by scores against common opponents. Boy, you really would have been off course on this one. We'll tell you about it in a moment. We have enjoyed this New Year's Day. Penn State was an underdog to USC and victorious earlier in the Fiesta Bowl, and underdog Washington leading Iowa 28-0. Kick comes down to Granger at the 7. And he is to the 29-yard line. Just to complete our point on the common opponents, during the course of the year, both these teams played UCLA. Washington lost 31-0. Iowa won 20-7. Based on that common opponent, Iowa was 44 points better. The score, Washington 28, Iowa nothing here today.
Comparative scores can get you in a lot of trouble.
You bet they can. Yards passing. And it figured Washington would have to go through the air, but it didn't figure that once they were so successful, they'd run the ball so effectively.
We talked about that right at the beginning of the game and in the pregame show. The fact that James was so happy to see this day clear and dry because he knew he was going to have to throw the football.
Pete Gales is the quarterback now for Iowa. Oh, he's got a rifle, and he gets it to Brown complete and out of bounds into the arms of Washington coach Don James at the 45. Jim Rogers, rather, is now in at safety for Chris O'Connor. Made the play.
I'm sure that Jim Lambright has his people playing deep, though. Don't give them anything deep. Keep them in front of you. If you have to let them take a football, make sure you tackle them, get them down. 7:01, counting down. Sun setting on Iowa's hopes for Rose Bowl victory, but it certainly has been an outstanding year for the Hawkeyes no matter what happens here today.
And look at their fans down here, Merlin. They're still standing with a band, waving their pom-poms. They've had a great time out here in Pasadena. You know they're going to be there in force again next year. Gales hits Brown again, and his progress will be allowed about the 46-yard line. Rogers again made the tackle.
Dick, looking back on this game, much of the speculation after the game, I think, will center around 3 critical 4th down calls. One that Don James made that turned into a touchdown, and 2 that Hayden Fry made that backfired. And I'm sure he'll be criticized for that. But I think one thing you should remember, if he hadn't been playing that kind of aggressive, abandoned football during the year, these Hawkeyes wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely. And they seemed to be reasonable risks at the time. It just was a Washington defense that stopped the play. Gales on a screen. Eddie Phillips is the man in there now for Blacher, and he's to the 40-yard line, and that'll be an Iowa first down, and they're trying to shake off the possibilities of a whitewash loss in Pasadena, trailing 28-0, and there you see the time remaining, 6:09. Stay where you are. Immediately following the conclusion of this game, we'll go to Don Criqui and John Brody, the Orange Bowl in Miami, and you know that place is just teeming with excitement. Clemson #1, Nebraska #4. Phillips. And he's out of bounds at the 33 after a gain of about 7. He's from Chicago, Simeon High School, and was the #2 rusher for the Hawkeyes this year with 543 yards. The UPI poll at the end of the season read this way, with Clemson on top. They face Nebraska 4. Texas won today against Alabama. Penn State won today against SC. Washington was 10th. Iowa 11th. Gales pump and go, and he has a man open, or does he? No, it's intercepted in the end zone. #3, Derek Harvey, another of the many juniors on defense for Washington. Ivory Webb didn't have a chance.
Derek Harvey, a starter last year, lost his job this year, came back in a reserve role, got back to where he was playing second team, now gets a chance to pick up an interception. Gales overthrowing his receiver here, but again, the Washington Huskies wouldn't let anyone behind them. 2 defenders back, actually in better condition to have a shot at that football than either of the receivers, Brown or Harvey.
You see 2 receivers in the same picture at the same time. They drew the 2 defenders right to the ball. Didn't have a chance. Now Washington will try to chew up as much time as they can. 5:40, and in a classic that has had so many tremendously exciting games, this has been about as lopsided as any for a long time. 28-0 Washington.
One of the things that you see Derek Harvey getting some congratulations from his teammates. Wants to clean up a little bit for his folks at home.
Sterling Hines, he was a Canadian high school sprint champion from Ontario, Canada, and gained 155 yards this year. He's in the backfield for the first time, and Stephen Derrick, #6, is the new quarterback for Washington. Well, in terms of scores being somewhat out of proportion, in '73 USC beat Ohio State 42-17, but the Buckeyes came back the next year to knock off SC 42-21. Those games were a lot closer than the scores might indicate. That is not Vince Albritton, but Albritton does wear #6, but he wears it on defense. That's #6, Stephen Derrick.
Whoa. And the Buckeye defense has not quit. They're still coming.
DeFeo would attest to that. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
Go for it. WDIV Detroit.
Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen back at the Rose Bowl. Clock ticking away. 4 minutes and 20 seconds left.
Both coaches now putting young players into the game to give them a chance to say they played in this classic.
Number 22, Hines, and he did not get to the 30-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down.
One of the unpleasant tasks that faces Hayden Fry and his staff and their recruiters is replacing all the seniors that they'll lose this year. A very dominant senior crop, and they're going to have to do an awful lot of rebuilding over the next couple of years.
Our silver blimp bringing us those exciting picture postcard scenes of the '82 Rose Bowl game. Special part of our telecast. Again, just short yardage for the Huskies. Hines, and they'll have to go into punt formation with 3:23 left. James Erb from Wellman, Iowa, made the tackle. And to Hayden Fry, his staff, University of Iowa, our thanks for their cooperation. Hayden, who grew that mustache this year. I had the pleasure of emceeing the Big Ten luncheon back last summer, and Hayden came out with a mustache, and he said, "I'm promising you it's going to be a hairy time for the Big Ten when they play Iowa." And he was prophetic.
He certainly was. Ron Hallstrom getting some work on his knee on the sideline.
cartridge. It's a good one to Jeff Brown at the 27. Oh, my. Hit immediately by number 2, Aaron Williams, the wide receiver. 40-yard punt. We have a timeout. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left for Iowa to try to scratch that 0 off the scoreboard.
Almost ready to go at the 1982 Orange Bowl. Clemson, #1 in the country, is the underdog, and that's fine with Coach Danny Ford and his Tigers. They're very loose and confident they'll be #1 at the end of the evening, but Nebraska is tough. Now let's go back to the Rose Bowl to Dick and Merlin.
All right, Don. Merlin and I had the pleasure of doing that Orange Bowl game a few years ago, and we know what a great treat it's been for you in Miami and all those good Orange Bowl people all week long, and they've got a classic game.
Come on, come on.
Iowa with the ball trying to snap this shutout bid, and they've got a new quarterback, Tom Grogan, but the granddaddy is right here. Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Look at these Iowa fans. You think they haven't had a good time out here in Southern California? Their team down 28-0. If you just walked into the stadium and looked at the scoreboard, you'd think that their team was in front.
You'd think there was a mistake up there, but no mistaking the quality of the Rose Bowl and the excitement it's generated over the years. I just am thrilled to be a part of it, Dick.
Absolutely. It is one of the top sports experiences anyone would want to ask for, whether you're a fan or an announcer, or certainly as a player. Grogan, not related to Steve Grogan, hit down at the 31-yard line, but he's getting a chance to win some spurs in the Rose Bowl. He's from Kansas City, Kansas, 6'3" and a sophomore, and obviously not superstitious, although Hayden Fry may well be after this one.
Very difficult to come out with high hopes and aspirations and not feel a little disappointed at the outcome of this game. The Hawks have had a great season.
It reminds me of the reaction of the Iowa fans, and I'm just amazed. I haven't seen anything quite like this. It's like the marathon in the Olympics, where fans stay and cheer the man who finishes last. They're showing the appreciation for having been in the race and to give Iowa something of which they're very proud, a co-championship in the tough Big Ten Conference.
The other thing I like is the fact that all of those players are still up front. They're on the line. They're not laying back and sitting down with their heads down.
1:05 left. Grogan goes down. We want to thank all of those who have been responsible for this telecast, but another piece of business. We want to announce the Honeywell Most Valuable Players for today's Rose Bowl game. For the University of Washington, freshman Jacque Robinson, and from the University of Iowa, their fine linebacker, all Big Ten, Mel Cole. A plaque in their honor, their achievement in today's game, will be presented to them. In addition, Honeywell will donate a $5,000 check to the General Scholarship Fund of each university for their participation in today's game. This money will be used to assist students in their chosen fields of academic interest. Second down and 19 yards for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and they're trying to manufacture a final bid for a score, trailing Washington 28-0 with only 53 seconds left. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Ohlmeyer. Coordinating producer of football, Ted Nathanson. Telecast of this 1982 Rose Bowl has been produced by Larry Cirillo, directed by Harry Coyle. Pre-game producer, Terry Ewert. Pre-game director, John Filippelli. Technical director, Ray Figelski. Associate director, Jim Marcioni. Associate producers, Mike Hadley and Peter Rawl. And our thanks to all the rest of the men and women who provided us with the great pictures and sounds of this Rose Bowl festival today.
And our thanks to whoever it was that arranged the work.
Absolutely, Father. Chuck Long now getting a chance to carry the ball, a quarterback. Also want to thank in the booth Dennis Mnuchin and Chuck Panama, Jacques Prote, as in the spirit of Jacque Robinson, Art Hoffman, and our statistician non-Perel Joe Costanza. Many of these people that you see their names on the screen now are going to be heading with us to Cincinnati for the playoff game, the Bengals and the Bills on Sunday. But right behind us is the Orange Bowl, and it's just seconds away, as for the first time in nearly 30 years apparently we're going to see a shutout here in Pasadena. 9, 8 seconds, 7, 6. The University of Washington and Coach Don James have won the 1982 game 28-0. yesterday. It's a day late, but he'll accept a marvelous present from a great young team that can only have a brighter future. We'll be right back.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Air.
Scene at midfield, both teams congratulating one another. Final impression, Merlin Olsen.
I think perhaps the loss last year was imprinted on the minds of these Washington players. They came back here with one thought in mind. Let's get through the festivities, but let's win this football game, and they've done it.
Well, it's been a year of the underdog in both the Pac-10 and the Big Ten and many other places around the country. And in that spirit, us Americans love the underdog. Washington prevails today. That's it from the Rose Bowl. Now let's go to the Orange Bowl. And Don Criqui.